Hey guys, we just signed the largest deal in all of esports history, and today I'm here to tell you guys what it is. We're changing our name to TSM FTX.
21 million a year.
Because a partnership like this is a first for esports.
And I think one thing that I came to appreciate as I talked more with them is that they're just really genuine.
One of the worst League of Legends players in the world nearly destroyed esports.
But yes, I would agree. Yes, she was absolutely distracted. Yeah, distracted on being bronze in League.
One bronze League player who ignored meetings to play ARAMs and normals dreamed of helping to make esports into a massive entertainment industry. Unfortunately, his business turned out to be a fraud.
It was the sloppiest scam imaginable.
That's a concern. If you are investing in a company where the CEO of it said, yeah, it's reasonable to call what I do a Ponzi scheme, that's a problem.
Sam-Bankman Fried committed the largest financial fraud since Bernie Madoff, and he's a terrible League of Legends player.
We're talking about something that is literally like millions above my pay grade. Like, I have nothing to do with that bullshit.
I made a lot of mistakes or things I would give anything to be able to do over again.
Hey guys, before we get to the video, just a quick reminder to throw us a sub if you get to do so, and if you're so inclined, turn on notifications. Thanks. And hey, while you're doing that, maybe check out our merch at shop.thescore.com. I guarantee you'll find something you like. Okay, so how did one rich League fan nearly tank TSM, the LCS, and esports as a whole? And who even is this guy? Well, Sam-Bankman Fried was an entrepreneur and the founder of FTX, a cryptocurrency exchange. But before he was a literal billionaire, he was a gamer.
He goes on TV in his cargo shorts and his messy hair, and he's playing video games while he's on the air.
Wait, he's playing video games on the air?
You would think your first television appearance, you might be a little uptight, a little nervous. And if you watch the clip, you can see his eyes going back and forth, back and forth. This is because he's trying to win his video game at the same time he's on the air.
SBF grew up playing StarCraft in school and eventually graduated to League of Legends once he got a bit older. But Sam wasn't exactly good enough to go pro. In fact, he wasn't even good enough to get out of bronze. But his plan wasn't to go pro or to get out of bronze. Instead, he became a billionaire through crypto trading and found a different way to contribute to the game he loved.
Being in this unique position, it's really cool that we get to tie esports, gaming, and crypto together. And what that means for our organization is that we're gonna be able to triple down on building the best teams, recruiting the best players, and building more amazing content for you guys. TSM FTX sounds fucking cool. We have diamond hands, and this partnership is gonna take TSM FTX to the moon.
Through FTX, Bankman Fried invested over $200 million into Team Solo Mid.
Gaming and esports has so much crossover, right? We have digitally native audiences, the age demographic is correct, we're all used to digital currency, playing video games, so you know that made a lot of sense.
And it wasn't just TSM. FTX also put $3 million into Furia, and who even knows how much into Riot to become the official cryptocurrency exchange of the LCS. Money was pouring out of SBF's wallet and into esports. But why were so many people so willing to take it? Even at the time, there were people skeptical about the future of crypto.
Alcohol is higher than heroin on the harm scale of drugs. Gambling has links to suicide. And cryptocurrency is built as a get-rich-quick scheme that takes money from the naive and gives it to the super wealthy so they can get around taxation regulations.
But there were two major reasons why people were falling over themselves to take the cash. The first is that they kinda needed it. Esports isn't the most profitable industry in the world, and money has been tight as of late.
We are negative $700,000 a month on esports.
In aggregate, it's a good business. Is it growing? Yes, but domestically here in the United States, it's an awful business.
So esports as a whole, like even as like the LCS in Valorant and Call of Duty, it hasn't been monetized at the level of which a lot of outside investors expected. And I've been in esports for a long time. I know how difficult it is for teams to make money.
But the other reason is that SBF seemed like the real deal. This guy was a capital G gamer. In all fairness, it wasn't too hard to understand why people would want to go into business with a longtime League of Legends fan who just happened to be one of the richest people in the world. And given just how rich he and his company were, it really seemed like Sam could single-handedly give esports the money it needed to survive. From the outside looking in, FTX looked like a massive $22 billion success. And their partnerships with some of the biggest names in esports was clearly something that SBF was into. He literally changed his in-game name to TSM FTX SBF.
The TSM FTX deal is the first of its kind in sports and in esports, where not only do they have the naming rights of our team, so we're called TSM FTX, but literally every single one of our players and their social names and display names on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, all changed to TSM FTX.
And yet, despite all his good intentions and the myriad of celebrities that signed on to be the face of the crypto exchange, SBF's sheer love for the game couldn't make up for the fact that basically all of his riches were bullshit.
Like I was saying, it's FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
I don't think so.
I think it's fair to say that by anyone's lights, this is one of the biggest financial frauds in American history.
I'd never lost that much money in that amount of time before.
I made a lot of mistakes or things I would give anything to be able to do over again.
Turns out that FTT, FTX's crypto token, was basically a Ponzi scheme held together by nothing more than collective belief in its value, which SBF openly told the world on a Bloomberg podcast shortly before FTX's collapse.
But I acknowledge that it's not totally clear that this thing should have market cap, but empirically I claim it would. You know, at some point, like if the world never decides that we were wrong about this in like a coordinated way, right? Like you're kind of the guy calling bullshit and saying, no, this thing's actually worthless. But in what sense are you right?
In the end, after its insolvency and shady dealings were exposed, FTX went belly up, SBF went to jail, and most of FTX's former customers were left high and dry.
And now that money has just been flushed down a toilet. Actually, it's even worse than that. It hasn't even been flushed down a toilet. It just vanished as if it never even existed in the first place.
I know this might be a big surprise, but FTX deleted evidence of their involvement in things. I know. Who could have possibly expected this to happen?
That's a concern. If you are investing in a company where the CEO of it said, yeah, it's reasonable to call what I do a Ponzi scheme, that's a problem.
All this meant that FTX suddenly didn't have any money anymore. So what did this mean for all of their multi-million-dollar esports deals? Well, for his part, SBF kept playing League literally as his company fell apart around him. Now, obviously, in the grand scheme of things, this wasn't major. But you better believe that SBF's relatable claims of league mastery were coming to bite him in the ass. In one case, it was in the form of savage mockery by a US Congresswoman and fellow gamer, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And honestly, who knows? Maybe if SBF had actually paid attention during those work calls instead of trying to get out of bronze, FTX would have lasted a couple more months.
But then they find out that he was playing League of Legends during the entire meeting. And instead of kicking him out on his ass, you know what they did next? They said that was incredibly impressive and gave the mother $200 million. Why? That's not impressive. That's dumb as shit.
So SBF ended up in jail and doesn't get to play League anymore. But what happened to esports as a whole? Well, things did not turn out great for TSM. They lost out on a ton of potential money. TSM pulled out of some games and most notably sold their LCS spot.
I would say I'm not like too surprised based on like how the trend of the team was going. I feel like TSM kind of needs like a new fresh start, and that's what like the owners wanted, right? So it is what it is. I don't have like too much input or anything.
TSM leaving the LCS was huge. They were a founding team, one of the oldest orgs in the league. They say they're just moving to another more competitive region, but it's hard to imagine the massive drop in cash flow that comes with losing out on a $210 million sponsorship not affecting their decision-making. The org as a whole suffered a pretty devastating blow. And of course, many of their players were the ones on the front lines, forced to answer questions they just weren't equipped to.
Chat, anything FTX related I have nothing to do with it. I'm literally just a player representing a name because I'm paid to do it. That's it.
In the end, where does this leave us? Well, Riot thinks that SBF liking League was actually a bad look for the game now that they have some semblance of hindsight. Crypto sponsors are generally on their way out of esports as the entire industry just tanked following the FTX collapse. And generally speaking, esports teams are still in very dire straits right now when it comes to funding. But the industry is still holding on. Sure, some orgs have folded, but new ones are coming in to fill the open spaces. SBF did go to jail, but the damage he did to the esports industry will heal slowly over time. TSM will live on in a new region, the LCS is still ticking and looking for ways to grow for a new audience. The fans are still here, even if the money is hard to find. So maybe this whole thing can be a lesson for the future. One bad fan with bad money cannot destroy esports, no matter how much they pour in and then suddenly rip out of the industry. But all the esports fans together can keep this scene pumping. The community is stronger than any one dumb business decision. Now, money was pouring out of I think it's literally just easy. I know people call him SBF, right? I guess that's why. That's like his, right? Moniker or whatever. SBF. I don't know anything about this shit, man. I hate this. Yeah, okay. SBF. I know it's weird. It's a weird linguistic thing. It's just I can't. SBF. It's just it's tongue tying me. It's easier to say Bankman Fried. SBF.